Hello, I'm Sophia. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to do this combo with a real emphasis on dancing our combo. So as always, we're still going to learn it first, and then we're going to talk about how we make it strong. And then once we've done that, then we'll talk about how to make it graceful, how to make it beautiful, and we'll spend a little bit extra time today as well on a few more dancing elements to help create that dance feel to your combo. Please make sure that you are warm, and please make sure, as always, that you do both sides because we only do one side in this video. And as you know, I can't really play music, so have some beautiful music, some really beautiful music for this one at the end so we can dance it a few times together. All right, let's get straight into it. So we're going to start with our inside foot and a plie, so just a slight bend with your outside leg extended to the corner of the room. And we want to just start with a little flurry. And we'll talk about that, how to make that graceful a bit later on. I usually just call these flurries when we're doing combos. So pretty flurry with the arm coming across to the back. Now from here, we're going to go into our pirouette. So we need to rise up and adjust this top hand, transferring your weight onto your front foot and bring this hand to the back of the pole so you can go into your pirouette. It really comes from rolling this hand on the pole. So you do want to start to roll this hand before you've even gone into your pirouette. That's what's going to make that pirouette nice and smooth. Now from the end of our pirouette, ideally, we don't touch this foot down. We want to stay up on a releve or on a rise and then extend this leg behind us for an angel. So for your angel, I know it's called different things in different studios. I can't think of the name of it, but I'll show it to you so you are familiar with the spin. So it's here. And this spin really is equal parts work in your upper body and also your glutes and legs. Everything has to work in an angel, not just to prevent injury, but to hold the shape while you spin. Right, so we want a nice strong split grip. So that means that this hand at the top, which is already in a twisty grip from our pirouette, is pulling, and this hand, of course, is in a split grip with your index finger down the pole, and you really do need to push out of that arm. So let's just say we've done our pirouette, and then we just take this leg back behind us for an angel. Now squeeze and press your hips forward. We're sweeping this outside leg around. We call this a devil, and we're going to just bend the knees. So it's angel to a bent leg devil spin. Now let's just talk about the devil. That sounded so weird. The devil spin. Let's talk about the devil spin. For a devil spin, also known, I think, as a corkscrew as well, ideally, we don't want our hips and body to touch the pole. So you have to actually work harder in a devil spin to push away from the pole to kind of corkscrew around it as we spin. So let's just try that again, the angel spin to the devil spin. So we sweep around, we've got straight legs here. Now sweep the leg, ankles crossed and bend, and try not to touch the pole here. With your hips, extra push out of that bottom arm, and of course, all muscles engaged. Goes without saying, of course, that this shoulder is really pulling down, so there's no hanging at all. Let's just try that from the beginning, and then we'll add on. So we start in plie with the leg extended to the corner of the room, and we do our little flurry. Rise up, adjust your inside arm, and then start to roll it so you can go into your pirouette. And then from here, reach up a little higher and pull down. It's going to make the grip stronger. Sweep around into your angel spin. Sweep the legs together, so we're just crossing at the ankles, just gently, and then bend. And now the same leg that you just swept around to the back for your devil is actually going to hook on for a Juliet spin. After we've done our bent leg devil spin, we then, the same leg, so from your angel, whichever arm is up, it's your opposite leg that comes around for your devil, just in case you haven't done that before. So if you're in an angel here, then this leg is going to come in front for your devil spin. Then we bend the legs, I'm trying to do it without spin. And then the same leg is then going to hook onto the pole for a Juliet spin. This placement can be a little bit tricky, especially when you're spinning. So what you need to kind of know where to put yourself on the pole to make this nice and smooth. Of course, you can touch down if you need to, but we want to build up to be able to doing it the whole thing without touching down. So what you'll find with the devil, your body is this way. But for the Juliet, you need to actually reposition yourself a little bit. So you want to turn your chest here, and then, but keep your hips a little bit to the side of the pole, because that's going to make this hook a lot easier. If you were directly in front, the hook is just too hard. So if I do it without spin, it's angel, bent leg, devil. Same leg. I'm going to keep my hips to the side, turn my chest a little bit here, so I'm pushing out of this bottom arm, but I'm going to sit back a little bit as well. So in your devil, your hips are pushing forward. In your Juliet, they're going to sit back just a little bit, and that's going to help to hook you onto the pole. And then when you're in your Juliet, the other leg just bends up, cross at the ankles. Don't ever think that position too much. Just bend the legs to make a beautiful shape. In this one, we'll talk more about gaze direction. I do look up, but it can make you dizzy. So, don't look up if that makes you dizzy. Okay, so let's just try that whole thing again. So we start here on facing the corner, little arm flurry, rise up for your pirouette, sweep that leg around for angel. Now bring the opposite leg around, bend the legs, try to push away from the pole for your devil. Now the same leg, think about turning your chest, but staying on the side of the pole. And then Juliet. And then we're just going to extend the same leg as the arm that's up for a twisted back hook. And that's our first spinning sequence. The longer you can hold that, the stronger you will get. Now with your Juliet, like your devil to Juliet, that's actually not a particularly easy transition to do while spinning and also keeping it smooth. So the best advice I have for that is to don't be rushed in that transition. Just really take your time. And if you reach the pole and you're not quite in the right spot, keep spinning and keep adjusting, because at this point in time, your hand is still on the pole. So use that. Okay, sometimes you hook on your finger a little bit, that's fine, don't worry about it, just take your time. What we don't want, what's gonna make the whole thing kind of clunky is if we try to yank it out. Just take your time and adjust, maybe slide the leg down a little bit, turn away from the pole a little bit, and adjust where your hips need to be at that time. Do you need to sit back more to get a better hook, or can you push forward slightly? There's no right or wrong for that, it's just adjusting. Think about it as evolving the shape while you're in the shape. It doesn't have to reach its full potential right at the start. You just want to get the grip points, you want to make sure that you're strong in the pose, and then you evolve it as you go. And again, I'll talk more about that later. So from your Juliet, we just want to bring the outside leg, extend it forward, in a twisted back hook. So if we were just to go from there, let's just go from a Juliet spin here. So hook that leg here. So we're going to turn our torso towards that leg. It's going to slow the spin down. It's just going to change the direction a little bit. There's not really anything that you need to do except for thinking about extending your leg forward and turning towards that leg. Okay, shall we move on? After we have extended from our twisty back hook, so we are here, we're going to step down onto that foot, leave this hand where it is, unhook the leg, and sweep straight around into a D-spin. Again, not an easy transition to control, because what we really want to make sure there is that we don't fall into the spin and overspin that move. So really, you have the power of the move comes from the step onto the floor. I'll show you what I mean. So from here, so this leg is going to ground. This is the leg that I'm going to use to create the spin for my D-spin. So as this leg comes around, I'm pulling, I'm going to lean out from the pole, and then I'm pushing off to create that D-spin. And that's really the only chance you have to control it. You do want to lean out slightly, not so much, of course, that the pole's going to spin out of control, but enough to give you some more momentum to kick back in for the next part of the combo. Now with our D spin as well, we're doing a T-Rex or forearm press where, you know, your index finger is up the pole. But if you want to, you can of course do a true grip with your thumb up, whichever one works for you. It really doesn't matter there. I'm just going to do this one for the level of combo that we're doing today. Okay, now from our D spin, the same leg that we pushed off, or the same leg as the arm that's up, is going to thread. So your other leg, if we were to do it without spin here, like this back leg is going to come forward. Give it a pull and then bring the other leg, or the outside leg, over the top for what we call a secretary spin. I think it's also called a side seat as well in some studios. What's important in that one is that we lift up so that our hips are sitting up over our knees. So how do we do that? Two things. The first thing is we pull, and of course we're not hanging, but we give it an extra pull. And the second thing is we push with the knee. So it's both things working at the same time. And when you do that, you will avoid this sort of pose. You will push down into that knee and lift up. That's where we want to be. So let's just try that. We'll go into our D spin. The leg that's at the back of the pole, or the same one as the arm that's up, threads through, lead with your knee first, hook it low, then bring the other one over the top, pull and sit up high. And then the bottom arm just does a little flurry. So again, it's the same side, we're still working on our grip strength and our upper body strength, all on the same side. So remember to do both sides. So it really helps there when you thread your leg as well to keep your leg, to hook your leg quite low, because then you don't have to work so hard to pull up into that secretarial side seat position. Your leg, as you swing it over, will give you that lift if this leg isn't too high. Now from our secretary, I'll show you without spin, we're here. As this arm comes around, we're going to unhook the leg and then reach, I'm going backwards. We should be going forwards at this time. So it's that little spin there. It's not, I don't really want to say front hook because our hips are not really sitting forward in our front hook. They're actually quite back. It's really just keeping that inside leg hooked with your hips behind the pole, little flurry with this arm, and then we unwind the leg and then lift forward to create an extension. And at that time, you just want to think about creating one line from your fingers to your toes as you're spinning. Let's try the whole thing up to there. So we start facing the corner with a plie and extended through the outside leg. Little flurry with the arm. Rise up for a pirouette. Remember to roll your hand. And then if you can, sweep this leg around and behind you for an angel. Opposite leg comes around for devil. Ankles cross, bend the knees. Try to stay off the pole. Now that same leg is then going to extend, hook, and then Juliet. And then the same leg as the arm that's up extends. Now remember, we want to step, sweep, lean out, give it a push for your D. Same leg as the arm that's up, threads through, keep it low, hook and squeeze, lift up tall, little flurry, and then extend that arm and leg. Let's finish off the combo and then we'll just add a few little things on strength and transitions, and then we'll talk about how to make it graceful. Now from this extension, we're now going to pull into a pole sit. Again, of course, if you're still working on building your upper body strength, you can always touch down, but ideally we're going to work up to be able to doing this without touching down. This hand is just going to go to the back of the pole, release this leg, and sweep into a pole sit. Ideally, your legs extend down to the floor and then into your pole sit. We're not unfolding this time, we're just going straight legs. So as your leg extends down, it's then muscle engagement through the legs, pull up the quads and into your pole sit. So let's just try that. If you just hook that inside leg, and we want to spin forwards at this point. So outside arm and leg reaching. Now bring your hand to the back of the pole, turn your chest to face the pole, lower, straight legs, and then pull into your pole sit. And then from here, our hand goes down, we extend back behind us, all the way down to a split grip with your index finger down the pole, and then we're just bending our legs back into a plank. Well, what's what we call a plank, where you just have top hand in true grip, bottom hand in split grip. Try not to do that because it's not so great for your wrist. This is much better. If you find you can't reach the pole doing that though, there's two things that we can do. Firstly, obvious one is bring this hand down a little bit. Don't bring it down so much though that you feel unstable. The second thing is that as you reach this arm back, we're going through a layout really. As you reach this arm back, just going to go sideways to reach the pole as opposed to trying to reach the pole back behind you this way. So let's just try that. Let's go again from the same spot. So we just come into our extension. Now grab, lower, here. Now just choose your hand placement, either shoulder height or a tiny bit lower. If you can't reach straight back, I'll just wait for the spin. Just go sideways here, split grip, and then you can turn your chest. And then we're just bending the legs. So it's just it's a plank variation. It should feel a bit harder than a normal layout or a normal plank. I find that here anyway, most of the girls, when they bend their legs, they drop their hips as well. So you really have to remember in that particular variation, think about like a hamstring curl when you pull your toes towards you and you press your hips forward as opposed to doing this. So from your layout, let's just do that layout one more time here. So from here, as you pull your toes behind you, press your hips up and extend through the chest. And that's what's going to create that beautiful shape as opposed to doing this. And that's actually where we are ending the combo today. Of course, you can use it as a combo, like a part of a bigger combo. Anything that you'd like, make a beautiful ending. I'm just going to step out of it, but put something pretty on the end of it to make it look nice. Now, just a couple of things that I want to go over as we talk about how to really make this strong. The first thing is, of course, controlling your spin, which we've talked about. If you overspin your angel at the start, that Juliet spin is going to be almost out of control. If you think about, for your angel, drawing a circle in the air around to the back of the pole, that is all the spin that you need. Your pole will spin enough. It might even be a bit too much, but you don't need to throw really momentum into it at that point. If you just try just the angel with me and see what I mean, right? What I see a lot when we're trying to learn the angel is this kind of flicking action like this, and it doesn't really create the spin. What creates the spin is the sweep around. Now, when you are drawing the circle in the air, you have to think about drawing the circle behind you. And when you do that, as long as all your muscles are engaged, you will lift off. Okay, try it with me. So draw a circle, sweep behind you, behind you, behind you, behind you, and there. And that is all the spin you need for a beautiful controlled angel. And the other thing that I just want to talk about is the transition from your devil spin into your Juliet. So when we're in the devil spin, we have bent legs, and because we're doing a variation, what we want to do is go to a soft extension, and then we want to bend our leg back in again to a Juliet. So at that point, we're not going for a beautiful extended devil spin. We're actually just softly extending the legs out and then hooking into the Juliet. Reason being that we really want that focus to be the Juliet spin at that point. So if we just quickly go through that, if you just go into your devil spin, so here. So if we just softly extend and then start to manipulate where you are on the pole so that you can gently and smoothly get into that Juliet spin. If you get used to doing that, and I know I keep saying the word manipulating, but that's what it really is like you're moving in space while you're spinning to make sure that you get that hook. Once you do, of course, engage and squeeze. And then you're nice and solid, you know, make sure that your hips are engaged and you're pressing forward and you're pushing into the pole here, and you won't go anywhere. The other thing as well, seeing as we're on the topic of strength, is when we go into our pole set from the D spin. At that point, really to get stronger, but also to stay in control, if we can work on pulling up, even if it's just this much, into your set, it's going to make you so much stronger and it's going to keep you in complete control of your combos as well. So let me show you what I mean. So when we go from, oh, sorry, we're actually in a secretary here. So from here, what we want to avoid is dropping. As you can see, terrible for the shoulders. What we want to focus on at that point, we've already talked about keeping our legs strong, but what we want to focus on is actually pulling up a little bit. Sometimes as well when we're learning this, it feels like we're not going anywhere, but that doesn't matter. Do it anyway because you're actually building really, really deep strength. So just keep going, because then one day you'll just pull up and you'll be like, oh my gosh, it happened, but it's because you've been working on it all this time. So just trust me when I say these little things that you do all the time in your combos just make you so much stronger. So from here, yep, pull up. And then place that set. It's going to make a world of difference to upper body strength. Okay, we've talked a lot about strength. We are going to do the combo right from the beginning to the end. We're not going to worry about how pretty it looks. We're just going to think about our grip placements and particularly our upper body strength in this one, but also that muscle engagement all over the body. Using your muscles to hold you in space, in the shape, rather than, you know, just trying to work against gravity the whole time. So let's give it a try. We start facing the corner and we flurry the arm. Let's rise up, roll the hand, pirouette. Now remember, we want to draw the circle around to the back of the pole. Pull and push, squeeze your butt, extend your legs. Sweep to the back, bend. Try to stay off the pole. Soft extension, hook, use that time to hook and squeeze and lift. And then unfold that leg and extend. We're stepping down, sweep, lean away from the pole, give it a push for your D spin. Thread, hook it low. Now pull, push down into the leg, and another little flurry. Grab the back of the pole if you can, pull up into your sit. Hand comes down. Choose whether you're going to go back or sideways. Once you're there, bend, press the hips up and pull the toes back. And then I'm just going to extend, take that bottom arm up and come down. Okay, so we have talked a lot. Well, when we say we, I mean me. I've talked a lot. But I really do want to talk now about those graceful elements. There's always going to be things that we know what to do, which is pointed toes and long ankles. They're givens. I'm going to talk more about the dancing elements today. So we're talking about linking movements in a flowy way that create the whole dance rather than just, you know, running shape to shape. One of those things that I do all the time is, you know, drawing shapes in the air. Because when you draw shapes in the air, what happens is you lean into the spin and it just creates a grace and a flow to what you're doing. Even if you don't even really have to try very much. If you slow down and you're intentional about where your shape is going, here as opposed to here, it just makes such a difference. Like I said, it just creates a grace and a flow with just doing that one little thing. Let's talk arms. When we flurry, especially in something like this first movement sets the tone for the whole combo. So it's quite important, you know, for how you're feeling in the moment, and also if you have an audience as well, because what this is going to do is create a presence. So let's talk about how we do that. If we go elbow first, of course I'm exaggerating this, elbow, wrist, roll through the fingers, and reach. Every time we do, no, I shouldn't say every time. A lot of the time where we are doing an arm extension, whether it's soft or whether it's big, it's the same principle. So we're going elbow, wrist, roll through the fingers and reach. But to make that even more present in the moment, we're going to follow our arm with our chest and also with our eyes as well. So if we start here, think about elbow. Now I'm turning the chest towards the front here. And then I'm going to keep turning my chest back and I'm going to look back past my fingers and think about extending your neck and looking beyond your fingers, not at your fingers. And we've got that secretary flurry here. We're just going to follow our fingertips there with our eyes. And it's the same when we do our pull into our layout. As the arm goes back, we can follow the fingertips with our eyes. If you want to go sideways, bring the arm across the chest and go that way into your layout there, or into your plank. For that final plank position, we talked about how to press the hips up, but we're also going to lift and extend the chest and drop our head right back, because that dropping your head back really creates a beautiful, dramatic moment. It just it can elevate the move, you know, kind of from a 9 to a 10, just by dropping your head back. It just looks great, especially if in the music it calls for that as well. I'm going to stop talking. We're going to dance. Let's put on some beautiful music and let's dance this gracefully together. So we start on a plie. Now we're going to turn the chest, the eyes, unfold. Think about the pirouette coming next. Shift your weight. And we're going into an angel. Draw a circle around to the back of the pole. Sweep that leg for devil. Bend the legs. From here, you're going to go into your Juliet. So start to turn your chest. Position yourself so you can hook. And then into that twisted back hook. And you know we're going to step down, lean out from the pole slightly, sweep the leg, point the toes, lift the chest. Let's hook into our secretary. Now lift up the pole, follow the fingertips with the eyes. We're taking it to the back. Now pull, strong legs, place it, choose your arm line here. Find your split grip. Now, as you lift your chest, drop your head back. And then extend. And of course, we're going to do it one more time because we are all about getting strong gracefully on this channel. But there is just one more thing that I want to go through that I want to bring to your attention, which I did mention earlier, but I just want to talk a little bit more about it because it's something that I use in my graceful combos, no matter whether it's an absolute beginner combo that I'm doing or an advanced combo. I always, always, always do this. And that is evolving the shape. I think when we do spin pole, we tend to think, oh, you know, we've got to get to that shape as fast as possible. But really what that can do is that can take some of the finesse away because we're rushing from shape to shape. So it's not really necessarily the transitions that I'm focusing on now, it's really evolving the shape. So what do I mean by that? I mean, get your grip points on. Take your time as you spin, like we talked about with that Juliet. I used the word manipulation, which is probably not a great word to use, but I'm sure you know what I mean. Just moving around in the air while you're spinning so that you can get the grip points. Once you've got that happening, that's when you start to think, okay, the muscles that I'm using to hold this, I'm going to pull down more, I'm going to extend my leg more, or I'm going to lift my chest more as you're spinning into the shape. And then you think about not just the strength, you think about, okay, now where am I looking? You know, what are my fingers doing? What are my toes doing? So you're adding those beautiful finesse elements on. What's my posture doing as you're spinning in the shape? So just keep that in mind as we dance this together one more time. And it's a really useful tip to have when you're training and when you are finessing moves as well, because it takes that pressure off as well, of kind of how fast you have to get into the move. You've got time. As soon as you've got those grip points, as soon as you've got those muscles holding you, what can you do to evolve the shape? Okay, one more time. So let's start in a plie. And we open, turn. We know we're going to our pirouette. Take your time. Extend, sweep, push, and lift. Sweep the leg, evolve the shape. And we're going to gently extend, hook for Juliet. Look up if you want to. Take your time. extend. We're stepping, lean out, push. Now can you evolve this shape? Lift the chest, pull down harder. And we thread, pull up, sweep the arm, grab the back of the pole. Can we pull up a little bit more? Straight legs. Think about evolving the shape as you're there. Push, lift, drop. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you could leave a like and a comment, I would really appreciate that. And it really does help my channel grow. So thank you again so much, and I look forward to seeing you soon.